Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Welcome to Venture Center. You guys know me, I'm Wayne Miller. I'm the Executive Director of the Venture Center, where we try to accomplish three things on a day-to-day basis, which is educate people, collaborate with people, and accelerate great companies and entrepreneurs. As an example of that today, once again, collaborating with Innovate Arkansas for this event, which we really think is pretty extraordinary. I'd like to recognize Dave Sanders, my buddy. We have a bit of a romance, don't tell people that. And also Amy Hopper, who's here. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for your support of this program. Also want to recognize Ashley Jones, who is our program manager for our community programs, who makes all this stuff happen. So she's behind the curtain throwing all her analysis switches. So let's hear it for Ashley. She is my So this is a really interesting opportunity. I think something that's very unusual to come to the Venture Center. Rosemarie joins us from the Washington, D.C. area, and fundamentally her background actually was about as thick as the Manhattan Yellow Pages. But I'm going to bear with me, I'm going to read a little bit about her and then introduce her. So Rosemarie is an entrepreneur, growth strategist, distinguished corporate executive, angel investor, and prolific startup catalyst. Currently, Rosemarie is founder and CEO of the Center for Advancing Innovation, CAI, not to be confused with CAI. Although I'm not so sure about you, actually. Anyway, it is a 501c3, a nonprofit like the Venture Center, which has been coined the Tinder for startups, Shark Tank on steroids. CAI's mission is to identify breakthrough inventions and maximize their commercial potential. Under Rosemarie's leadership, CAI has earned numerous awards and recognition from Health and Human Services, the White House, Federal Laboratory Consortium, and more. CAI has also been featured in the Washington Post, Wired, Huffington Post, Nature, and several other publications. Rosemarie also serves as director of the DC Metro chapter of the Founder Institute, the world's largest startup acceleration program. Rosemarie's specialty is growth and investment strategy, having led growth strategies for 50 of the global Fortune 100 companies in 15 countries. Rosemarie told me last night she used to spend 42 hours a week in an airplane, which we all know who've done that is not fun. The strategies that Rosemarie has led have resulted in over 300 billion, 300 with a B, billion, net new top-line revenue and nearly 190 plus new products to market. Prior to launching her own firm, Rosemarie spearheaded IBM's, for them, innovation strategy practice globally. At IBM, she was awarded IBM's Laudable Honor, the Golden Circle Award. In addition, she has also held notable leadership roles at Booz Allen Hamilton, Oracle, PRTM, Marsh & McLennan, where she served as VP of Global Strategy. Rosemarie began her career at Goldman Sachs. Great stories on that. At 19, she was at the block trading desk, which maybe she'll share with us. Her core competencies are in leadership, strategy consulting, investment banking, and entrepreneurship. In her spare time, Rosemarie also writes for and sits on company boards. Welcome, Rosemarie.
Thank you very much. That was awesome. Well, I want to thank you all for coming here. It's wonderful to see so many people who are interested in the Scale Challenge and people who are already started companies and want to start more companies and get connected with capital and learn more. So thank you all for being here. And I want to clap for you all because I don't see anybody else there. All right. So today I'm going to talk to you about the Scale Challenge. I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction to the Center for Advanced Innovation, what it is doing, how does our model work, and talk about some of our past challenges. This is our 8th challenge, and we're thrilled to be partnered with the Walter family on this one. Okay, first quiz of the day. What do these items have in common? Yes? IP? Yes, IP. What else?
It didn't exist 25 years ago.
Yes, that's true.
Government.
Yes?
Technology.
Yes?
Al Gore was involved in here.
How did you know? Oh my gosh! Other ideas, other thoughts?
Innovation.
Yeah, tech transfer innovation. So you guys nailed it. This is the first crowd that totally nailed it. Just so you know. Okay, Okay, so these two came from the National Institutes of Health a long time ago. So the NIH, Federal Lab, created that. GPS, NASA. LED lighting, NASA. Smartphone technology, NASA. Tempur-Pedic, NASA. The internet?
Outdoor.
Yes! All right. So the reason for putting this up here is because we have created brand new markets around inventions that have been funded by taxpayers, us, and developed by the federal government, universities, and hospitals. And so there's a lot of really good intellectual property sitting on the shelf. Each year in the United States, we spend $140 to $160 billion in taxpayer funds, basically developing new inventions every single year. And 0.01% of them ever go anywhere. And that, by the way, that's all that we can actually count. So Kauffman Foundation, I went to Kauffman Foundation. I said, there's a lot of value at stake sitting on the shelf. So they gave us a grant to determine the value of stake sitting on of the research enterprise in the United States sitting on the shelf. By the way, they didn't agree with me. They said, hey, if it's sitting on the shelf, no one wants it. But actually, it's not only on the shelf. It's on the shelf in a dark room with dust on it and crud, and the door is locked. So there are many reasons these inventions are not getting out. So first of all, you have to be able to find them. Finding them. So 25% of the inventions that Johns Hopkins, for example, has are on their website. So we know this factually because we have pulled all the inventions out of USPTO and micronode, so we know all the inventions that Johns Hopkins has been involved in, and 25% of them are on the website. So that's pretty much true for a lot of different universities. So imagine you have to go to, there's 5,000 research institutes in the United States. So imagine you have to go to 5,000 different websites to get the information about the inventions that are sitting on the shelf from the research enterprise in the United States. This $140 to $160 billion a year. So in the last 7 years, we have $1 trillion worth of IP sitting on the shelf. So anyway, going back to the Kauffman Foundation, well, we did an analysis of 145 of the top research institutes in the United States. Well, why 145? Because we wanted 8 years of data. And we could only get 8 years of reliable data for 145. So obviously our numbers are going to be wrong because there are 5,000 research institutes. But okay, let's pretend there's 145. We got 90%, the 80-20 rule, right? So we found that there's 150,000 inventions that we can count. These are the ones that are patented, sitting on the shelf. And then we found out that there's all these barriers to getting them. One is finding them. The second is evaluating them. I remember when we were reviewing the NASA portfolio, they had 4,723 inventions, approximately. And so evaluating something that's used for anti-gravity is very interesting, because now you're trying to look for how is it applied to the terrestrial world, right? So you're really looking at 8 to 10 applications, and you have to evaluate every single one of those applications, because it's a different competitive landscape, there's a different market growth rate, there's a different EBITDA, and so on and so forth. So you have all of these barriers. So first is finding them, next is evaluating them, funding them, having incentives for people to want to get them out. So do the inventors want to get them out? I'll tell you a story about the sausage making later about how we get these inventions. But a lot of times there's very, very little incentive to get the invention out. The inventor doesn't have any incentive, sometimes. Sometimes the university doesn't have any incentive. Sometimes the federal lab has no incentive. But then, of course, okay, so let's pretend you found the invention, you performed, you figured out what the application was. Now you have to do due diligence. Let me just give you like a little bit of a taste for this. I'm not going to go through all the sausage making, but you get an invention. Let's say it's got 100 patents on it. It's got a whole patent family. You have to parse that data out. And by the way, the patents are old. As soon as you're looking at a patent, it's old because the data's old, right? So now you have to augment the data around that patent. You have to harmonize the data. You have to do a multi-dimensional segmentation analysis. Then you have to start applying your due diligence models. So the due diligence models are non-trivial. The largest one we have is 158 variables. So I have lots of trade secrets on due diligence models because I've worked across industries. And so, like, all of that methodology is really important, but okay, let's pretend now you found something negotiate the license. Do you know it took me 9 years to get the licensing terms for these inventions? So we work with more than 100 institutions across the United States. We work with 170,000 inventions, which equates to about 500,000 patents. And we have successfully gotten terms that are not $5 million up front, because that's a non-starter for a startup, right? So anyway, there's more to the story, but the point is that we in the United States have a lot. We spend the most, it's called GERD. We spend the most on R&D with taxpayer dollars, and we have a lot of opportunity to get more of it out. So that's what we've done over the last years, the Center for Advanced Innovation. And so we do this to try to, because I can still be on airplanes for 42 hours a week. But we do this to make an economic impact and a social impact. So part of that Kaufman study, we found that if we get 6% more of the inventions out at a 90% failure rate, we could make a $1.5 trillion GDP impact on the US economy alone. So it's not even, that's not even counting what we do to the global economy. So anyway, that's kind of the boring part, but that's the background for how did we come to exist. So we've secured lots of valuable inventions, we have proprietary vetting models, and then we launched startups. So we've launched 300 startups in the last 3 years. We've been running this accelerator program for 4 years. It's the largest, by the way, largest virtual accelerator program in the world. It's about 5,000 people have gone through it. Indirectly, we've launched about 550 startups. We have 100 partnerships with universities, federal labs, and hospitals to get their IP and commercialize it. This is probably the most important thing that I have put blood, sweat, and tears into, which is that licensing agreement. So I guess 9 years ago, I did the transformation engagement for the NIH, which has 18,000 inventions. They're going to do 270 deals a year, 70% of those deals fell through. So all these great inventions that the NIH has actually create an enormous impact to human health we're not getting out. So the question was, how do we improve that? And what I did was I showed them this pie, so a pie chart, which I don't like pie charts because it's easy to read a pie chart. And we said, well, you are only addressing 4% of the market. Like if you think about it, a market opportunity, because they're going in price, if you will, for an invention is $5 million, $1.7 million up front, and within 3 years, $5 million. And so a startup isn't going to raise $5 million before doing a startup and getting the IP, right? Plus, they don't give you your money back if it doesn't work. Did you know that? But the invention doesn't work, you don't get your money back. And only 0.01%, gosh, that 0.01% keeps coming back, of pre-IND inventions actually get to market. There's new technology coming out for that too. But by the way, I have technology and things, entrepreneurs and startups that dance in my brain at night. We've gotten a lot of awards, which Wayne was kind enough to mention. But the most important thing is we have 3 unicorns out of 300 companies. One of them just raised $156 million last week. That was pre-known. And we have 9 top 30 under 30. How many people are under 30? Oh, okay, don't answer that question. I'm not under 30, so I'll just say that for record. But anyway, we have 9 top 30 under 30 Forbes list. And so a lot of people who are young people come into our challenge, and they get top 30 under 30, and we get lots of prestigious awards. 50% of the startups, we believe, 50% of the startup top awards in the world are won by our startups. So every year, in the last 3 years at least. This just gives you an overview of we have a lot of university and hospital partnerships, corporate and foundation partnerships, 27 federal labs, and we have this program called an ambassador program. Because part of what we want to do is we want to have feet on the ground in different locations because our challenges are global. So we have, for example, feet on the ground in Spain and France and the UK and Oxford and then of course all over the US. Because we want these new companies to come, to be started anywhere. But the ones that are going to be coming started for this challenge are going to be in Arkansas, which is kind of cool. So in our last, we call it a place-based challenge, where we were launching companies in a particular location. The last one was in Virginia Beach, and we had 70% of the companies come from outside of the U.S. Outside of Virginia Beach. And 30% of those were from outside of the U.S. So that's kind of exciting. These are just some of the partnerships we have. On the right-hand side, you see some big companies like Blue Origin. The head of strategy of Blue Origin is a mentor in the Scale Challenge. NEA NEA is the world's largest VC. They don't do seed level funding, they do Series A and above, but they like to syndicate on, for example, for the companies that we have launched, they syndicate on future rounds after the seed round. So they like to be in the know. Same with Polaris and POPUP. Paragon, Grant Anderson, fastest growing space company in the world, and he's a mentor also. So just a few examples of some of our mentors and partnerships and so on. Okay, that's just a bit of background of our company. So how does the challenge, what is a scale challenge? So it's a startup challenge. So we flip the script. This is this is not like a normal challenge. A normal challenge model, like if you heard of the Rice University Challenge, which is considered the world's richest and largest challenge, what happens is startups come into the challenge and they pitch, and there's a demo day, and there's 50 people pitching, and there's one person who wins. And there's like second place and third place and so on. So in this case, we have 20 inventions that are the topics of the challenge. We picked the very best supply chain and logistics inventions from, I don't remember how many, it was 16,000 inventions we looked at, 154 institutions. So out of that, we have 20 inventions. And I can give you, like I mentioned, the sausage making of the inventions, because there's more to it than the due diligence stuff that I talked to you about earlier. So what the criteria, by the way, were things that could create a positive disruption in supply chain, logistics, and transportation to the port system for the Baltic Link. So we, as I mentioned, we flip the script. So we start with the inventions. Teams come into the challenge and they pick one of these inventions and they compete for the privilege of launching a company around the invention. So you can have anywhere from 5 to 10 teams competing for one invention. So you're probably wondering, why would someone compete for an invention that's sitting on the shelf? Well, we pre-negotiate the licensing terms. We found the invention, we negotiated the licensing terms, and we're going to team up capital, but they can't get the invention outside of the challenge. All right, so why are we doing this? We're trying to boost the ecosystem here, amplify it. What do we want as the outcome? 20 new companies in Arkansas. We want to create a lot of new jobs and new markets. We want to amplify the entrepreneurial ecosystem. You already have a great ecosystem. Look at you guys in the room. I'm very, very pleased and honored to be here to be able to present to you. And we can galvanize the resources. As Wayne mentioned before, there's 3 different institutions, more than 3. There's several institutions in this room right now that where they have all these different resources where we bring them together to actually launch awesome companies. And another thing that we do through our challenges, which by the way was not planned, but it just is an outcome of our challenges, is we address the economic inequality. So out of the 300 companies we've launched so far, 60% are co-founded by women and 80% are co-founded by minorities, which is really bucks the national average. It's usually about 5 to 10%, depending on where you are. Okay, any questions before I move on to how does it work? Yes?
Are you going to give us access to your presentation?
Yes. Okay. All right, any other questions before I go into, yes?
So, do you fund this company or do you just look at the IP? I mean, do you have a fund attached to your program?
We have many funds attached. So at the end of the challenge, we're going to do a big demo day, if you will, which is a pitch platform, if you will, in northwest Arkansas in Bentonville. So there'll be a whole bunch of investors that will be coming to Bentonville to put money, both diluted and undiluted investors. So non-diluted being they're not going to take any equity, diluted being they want some of your company in order to give you money. Any other questions? Yes.
Fascinating the idea of going from 16,000 inventions to 20. How, and I know that's partly the sausage making.
That's the sausage making, yeah.
So, what is the premise by which you make the decision to get to those 20? Are you looking for, because from the supply chain perspective, does that just obviously narrow it down very quickly? But speak to that.
So we started with 170,000, and then we, based on supply chain, transportation, logistics, we got down to 16,000. Then what we do is a multi-dimensional segmentation analysis that I mentioned, and that's very important because you can't compare an apple to an orange. You need to compare them to the very best model. So what would be the highest commercially viable invention in that class? And then we look for disruption too. So we actually have a special set of criteria for disruption and what we call growth breakthrough. So my specialty really is growth breakthroughs, stuff that doesn't exist. It could really make it shift an entire industry. So, so we first do all that stuff that I just mentioned, the multi-dimensional segmentation. Before that, of course, we do all the data work, which is a lot of work, the harmonization and the augmentation and multi-dimensional segmentation analysis. Then we start, when we segment it, then we can start applying our due diligence filters. So, for example, we got down to 1,600 after we started applying our filters, and then we had to reach out to 154 different research institutes around the United States to find out, is the invention available? Because we still don't know if the invention is available. If the invention is not available on an exclusive basis, we don't want it. If the inventor is not willing to be part of the company, we don't want it. If the technology transfer organization will not be giving us startup-friendly terms, we don't want it. So there's all these other reasons we may not want it. That got us down to 800. Now we have to start applying our deep dive due diligence. And that deep dive due diligence is based on every segment is different. And we have to make up new due diligence models because if it doesn't exist, we always have to tweak them. And then we get it down to 40. So I'll just get the last bit. And we pick an invention selection committee. And the invention selection committee are leaders in the supply chain world. So like head of Dell Technology, for example, at different organizations. Senior vice president, Walmart, JP Hunt, etc. And they go from 40 to 20. So the invention selection makes the final cut. We have nothing to do with that. All right, you're welcome. So I just talked about invention selection. That's the planning part. So then, the teams are formed. So it says at least two. If you just have one person you want to come into the challenge, that's fine too. But then we will pair you up with other people. We have a bunch of people. We have 130 people right now who want to join the challenge. We don't have a team yet. They're really good. Then you submit the application. The application takes about 10 minutes, but then you do have to do a fluid intelligence test. The fluid intelligence test tells us a lot about you. Are you a narcissist? Are you a troublemaker? Are you agreeable or not? Oh, sorry. I'm a bit of a troublemaker too, but you can't be too much of a troublemaker because that's not good. Are you, agreeable to score? Are you open? So number one, most important thing is open to score. So if you don't have above a 50, we don't let you into the challenge for openness because you're not going to be any good. I mean, why would we want you to come in and not being good in the challenge? So there's other things we do here too. We have this other evaluation model that we created for Kaufman Foundation. So Kaufman asked us why did startups fail. So we figured out startups don't fail because of lack of money. Startups fail because of lack of capability to get money. So you need to, and that's not always true. Sometimes it's lack of money, but you gotta be able to find the money. So in any case, we do a bunch of stuff when you submit the application, then you enter the challenge. We have a rolling entry process, so we're open for entry right now. And so as soon as you come in, you're in the elevator speech phase. So right now, I believe we have 80 that have come into the challenge. This challenge is the fastest application process we've ever had. It is seriously fast. We have never had so many people enroll so quickly. So it's very, very, very exciting. Then we actually just went through 20 meetings, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with our mentors. So we start matching our teams up with mentors. And we have world-class mentors. During the course of the challenge, you have 40 classes. Everything's virtual in the challenge in terms of the classes. They're all webinars. 12 company building exercises and 16 weeks of hot seats. Does anyone know what a hot seat is? It is you pitch. And it's just depending on the day and how I feel. It might be 30 seconds that day, it might be a minute. have a lot of patience, like 5 minutes. So anyway, people come in, we allocate time and a 16-week straight of pitching. And then we get feedback, and people get so good. That's why our teams win all these startup competitions, because they get really, really, really good at pitching. You submit the deliverables, and the deliverables are a 2-minute pitch, which it describes the problem you're trying to solve, how the invention you've selected solves that problem, and the differentiating features of your team, essentially. And also a 350-word executive summary. This goes on a public voting platform called YouTube. And then you basically get people to come in, and by the way, we have purchased expensive platforms. It's not worth it. YouTube is much better. So people vote for you. You know, you get your mom, and your grandmother, and your sister, and your kid, or whatever, to vote for you. But also, we're looking for constructive criticism from peers that have something to say about how your challenge, how your 2-minute pitch goes. But the rubber really hits the road in the business plan phase. So the business plan phase is a full business plan. How many people in here have written a business plan? Gosh, really sophisticated audience. It's the first time I've ever had that many hands. How hard is it to write a 30-page business plan? None. Right. No. How hard is it to write a 10-page business plan? Really hard. Like we see. I can actually read the anxiety and the number of words that are removed from every sentence because I can see it in the paper when I get it. And so also in the business plan phase, the teams, of course, we do additional training, but the teams also have to create a comprehensive financial model, which means it's a risk-adjusted NPV, evaluation model, and a cap table. So I will not even read the business plan until I review the financial model, because you can see someone's soul through a financial model. You can see all the assumptions they've developed. You can see how they've triangulated, how they think, and how they document. Because if that's not done well in the financial model, there's no point reading the business plan. It's all stuff in the business plan, because that's how we teach it. We say do the financial model first, and then do the business plan second. Because you have to look up all your assumptions. You have to do your prioritization of the applications, and there's a lot of things you have to do. So we also tee you up with more mentors. So depending upon how you decide you're going to go after your applications for the invention, we may need to find you more mentors that are specialists in AI or machine learning in a particular field, or have exited a company of a particular type. But we go and seek them out at this point, because now we know what you're doing, and we can actually, because what you're doing here is you're trying to figure that out, and then here we know what you're doing, and then we can tee you up even better with more mentors. You incorporate your startup, submit your phase 2 deliverables. The other thing that you actually submit here is a live pitch. So you pitch to our panel of judges. The panel of judges that you're going to pitch to initially are going to be people all around the world. So you're going to pitch over a webinar. And then the final week is going to be here in Arkansas. And you're going to do your final pitches to these investors that I mentioned before, investor forum. And then the startup phase, the working group sessions are the ones that I mentioned from Arkansas. The investor forums is the final ceremony where you talk about, how you're going to be the next unicorn. Any questions? Excellent. Good. Yeah. Oops.
So I'm afraid I may have the cart before the horse, or I'm not sure, but are the people that you said 80 that have already submitted, are they saying we're interested, we want to do something, or you're saying those are 80 companies or groups that are already formed, they have some IP of their own that they're doing and they want to scale it, or they're saying we don't have something but we're hungry to do something, we want to know what IP and licenses you have?
We have both.
Okay.
We have both. So we have about 30% of the ones that have come into the challenge. So it's a two-way street. You can come in and pick one of our inventions, but we don't mind. You can bring your own invention. So we have about 30% that brought in their own thing, and the other ones have picked ours. The ones we put as the topics of the challenge.
So those topics are out there and available
Yeah.
to review. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't catching this.
So scalechallenge.org. Gosh, I'm so proud of you all. No one's looking at their cell phone or computer. He's writing notes. He's looking down, he's writing notes at Sam. It's like an awesome audience. You should give yourselves a round of applause.
Yay!
Yeah, so all of you are going to come into the challenge, I'm sure. Yes.
Do the inventions that you choose have the inventor's support?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
So they're available to help the
Oh, yes.
inventor? Okay.
Absolutely. However, during the course of the challenge, great question. The way it works is that the inventors will do, for example, their first webinar for all the teams competing at the same time to create a level playing field. And that's the first webinar they do. The second webinar they do is they do Q&A session for all the people in the same group of people or less. Because usually from the elevator speech phase to the business plan phase, the number of teams is reduced. Because some people, we see that if people don't do their homework, they get a special homework assignment that I actually give them. I don't know if I told you my nickname was the Truminator. It's really true. But they are special, and they get most of the time they do it. They just do it. Yes.
This is your first time, is this the first time this survey is happening, or how many times have you all done?
8 times.
8?
Yeah.
And from beginning to end, exactly how many months from?
Oh, how many months? 8.
In the entire process?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, to enter the challenge, what would be the minimum average investment that we have to come up with?
It all depends on you. I mean, we tee you up with the opportunities to pitch. But if you do the homework and you pitch well, then, I mean, one of our teams came out with $600,000 before the end of the challenge. Another one came out with $1.2 million before the end of the challenge. But it could be anywhere from like 0. Usually our teams come out with about 25,000, I mean, minimum. But in our first challenge, which was called the Breast Cancer Startup Challenge, we only launched 10 companies because it's a brand new model. And one of our teams closed $600,000 in the third month. Because we are constantly pushing you into other startup competitions that you can go and pitch, and we have good relationships with them, but we won't push you into it if we don't think you're going to win. It's a waste of your time. Yes.
The travel for startup competitions, that's something that's funded by you guys?
Nope.
Or,
Except for this final week here in Northwest or here in Arkansas is funded by us.
okay.
Yeah. Or the Walton family actually, but
Okay.
through us. Yes.
You said earlier that those who win the competition will only have like a exclusivity. with
Yes.
the
Yes.
board.
Yes.
My question is, for how long is that exclusivity, and what about if that technology is so disruptive that the government should, perhaps in your experience before you did this, take it into consideration to scale it? If it makes sense what I'm trying to.
Well, so the government wants you to have it. I mean, we don't have these inventions, we don't put any inventions in the challenge unless there's a desire to have them out into the world.
Right, but the exclusivity, how long is it? And after
The
that-
exclusivity is based on the patent life. So, for example, we have the Robonaut. It's a really awesome invention. It has about 100 patents. It's from NASA. It has been in the International Space Station for 8 years. So what you do is you look at the end of the latest patent life, and your financial model has to go out that long, by the way, too. But that is your exclusivity period, is when the patent life ends. However, I say that, but sometimes we have some institutions that decide that your exclusivity is going to be only 15. Like, let's say it's a 20-year patent and just got patented, and they say, well, you only get it for 15 years. So we have been successful at getting startup-friendly licenses, but if they see that you just closed $200, $300, $500 million, they're going to possibly limit your patent life. So what we do is we have you create portfolios so that we actually have different institutions that are competing, so to speak, for your own portfolio. So, in other words, like what if you had a Stanford invention and a Rice University invention in this, that you license both of them, they compete. You know, those two institutions, I mean, lots of institutions compete, but they want to see their invention well, so that's kind of like one point. But another point is, like, why would you limit the exclusivity? Because they get more royalty income. They get more money the longer you have it. So what you have to do is also negotiate when the royalty income stops for them. You all know what royalty income is? Okay.
One point on all of that, remember we were saying, on all these patents, the threshold, there's been $1 million, $2 million that has been invested by the government to
Yeah.
get to this point.
That's right. So actually, I'm so happy you said that. For all these inventions, there's at least $10 million that's been spent on already. Before the Robonaut and the electric car and other inventions that are in the scale challenge, there's more like $100 million. The Robonaut, I know for sure, is over $200 million been spent on it. It's not commercialized though. So there's your opportunity. I mean, that's a huge opportunity, you know. It's almost like so big of an opportunity, it's scary, right? We should do it! We should get over that. Don't be afraid, just go get it. So why do people participate in our challenge? They get a lot of training, they get lots of assignments. Everybody loves assignments, right? Especially the financial modeling one. And as I told you, I think you can read someone's soul for a financial model. The mentors are very important, and world-class mentors, and collaboration across the ecosystem. I mean, it allows you to really galvanize the resources across the entire ecosystem. So, and actually learn. I mean, how many people in here know all the people in here? I'm just curious. Okay, well, that's good. So you get to meet new people. So, oops. So why else do people come into the challenge? There's prize money. It's not that much. People do not come into the challenge for prize money, but there's a little bit of money. A lot of media attention. I write for Forbes. I always write for startups. I have to do that because I don't have any children. They are the content for my Forbes articles, and very, very proud of them. I mean, every day I get word that's more. They've raised more money. They've partnered with another organization. They're growing. They're doing all kinds of wonderful things. One of them just from our NASA challenge, we had a NASA Space Race Challenge. They just did an enormous deal with NASA. But you know, this is the real reason people come into the challenge. They want to create a company and have seed funding. And then some people, you know, the accelerators are sometimes very costly. You know, the Founder Institute accelerator costs $4,500. It's 14 weeks. It's one night a week. You know, and they take 3% equity. We don't take any equity at all. And of course, the world-class mentoring and exposure, because we recruit people from all around the world. So you're not limited to a particular ecosystem. We try to find the very best of the best. And then, by the way, if you think that we should find another one in a particular area that we didn't see before, you just tell us. And I'm fearless. I will go ask, and I'm also persistent. And I will ask again and again and again until they say mercy. The dates are on the website. It's scalechallenge.org. But you have until August 30th to enter. And we have some wiggle room in there. So it's really middle of September. October 1st is the final day to submit your elevator speech. And then we have the public voting from October 15th to the 31st. We announce some semi-finalists in the beginning of November. Then you have all this lovely time during your Thanksgiving holiday to write your business plan. And then you pitch to the panel of judges, right, January 31st to the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. Isn't that a great Valentine's Day thing to do? And then, of course, we wave the checkered flag, so to speak, and then the startups come in. So we haven't figured out the exact dates we're going to be in Arkansas yet, because some want the beginning of April, some want right before the Heartland Summit, or during the Heartland Summit. So We don't know what it will be yet, but it'll be somewhere in that time frame, and it'll be in Arkansas. How can you participate? Well, we are past the Invention Selection Committee, but, okay, I'll start here. You could be a cheerleader. So everybody in this whole room should be a cheerleader, at least. That means you tell your neighbors, you tell your friends, you tell the people anybody you socialize with. Hey, have you heard of Scale Challenge? Yeah, oh, it's a really cool challenge. So we have lots and lots of information you can share. We have posters and trifolds and all kinds of things. We have content, newsletter content, social media content. You can post to your website, present at conferences, anything right here, cheerleader. If you're an investor, if you'd like to participate in the investor forum, you can do that. You can be a judge if there's not a conflict of interest, be a judge. It's about 8 hours of time to be a judge. The judging takes place 4 hours virtually, and then 4 hours in person, which will be in Arkansas. Be an advisor. Advisors provide 1 hour of time on a topic that you are deeply expert at. You can be a mentor. Mentors are 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours a month with a team. And you can be an ambassador. And of course, all of you would want to be team members too, right? How many people here want to join the challenge? Be a team. Create a team, be a mentor, be an advisor, be a judge. You know, I do lift weights. I can help you with your arms. If you're having trouble, it's like tired. You're tired? Okay. I'm teasing. Oh, no, I'm not teasing. I do lift weights. I can help you. Okay, ambassadors. So ambassadors are like the feet on the ground, right? So Wayne, David, you're ambassadors because you basically are engaged in the ecosystem, and I'm very grateful to you all for driving when you were not feeling well and putting this up here. So I'm really very, very grateful. You really rolled out the red carpet, so I appreciate it. But basically, ambassadors are usually connected with the ecosystem, and they can engage the ecosystem and then bring in people. They are connected with global economic development groups, accelerators, incubators, university entrepreneurial groups, special interest supply chain groups, entrepreneurial associations. So they usually can galvanize the ecosystem, which we can see today as happening. They recruit local entrepreneurs, and the benefits for ambassadors are that they can expand the ecosystem here and create a significant impact on innovation in the ecosystem. All right, I was going to just give you a bit of a background about our past, what we've done in the past, but I'd like to pause there to see if you have any questions specifically about the Scale Challenge. Yes?
For this specifically, for this Scale Challenge, how helpful is supply chain and logistics experience?
How what?
How helpful is supply chain and logistics experience?
Very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw ambassadors receive equity. Is that from a different challenge? I wasn't sure.
Yes, they do.
This one.
1%. For every team that's recruited, they get 1% equity. I don't know if you guys do that.
No.
Do you want it?
No.
Yeah. So, some can't receive it. Some are not allowed to receive it, but I hope you guys can receive your 1%.
David and I are personal nonprofits.
That's the 15-year vesting schedule.
Yes,
What is the reason the 20 companies have to be in Northwest Arkansas?
because the Walton family and I are partnered on this, and they want to boost the ecosystem here.
So are they specifically looking to invest in these 20 companies, the Walmart?
That is all something that will be determined.
Is it Arkansas as a whole, or they have to be in Northwest
Yeah.
Arkansas?
What about smart tomato run or
Well, we're working on that. Arkansas, for sure.
How long has this been evolving with you and the Walton Foundation?
How long have we been involved with the Walton Family Foundation?
How long have you been working with the Walton Foundation?
about 7 months. They really debated our program. Alice Walton and Tom Walton decided to do it.
So do they, like, so the Walmart family, they wanna be very hands-on, is that why they want these
No, the Walton family. So, sorry, I apologize, I have to say that, Walton family. So, you know, J.B. Hunt, Walton, Tyson's Food, you know, so it's not just Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah, so, are they, they're not really that hands-on. I mean, they provide guidance and they're very helpful. Like, every time I need to meet someone and they know that person, they are very kind in introducing us. And one thing that I failed to mention, which I really should, is that, of course, Alice Walton is the visionary behind Crystal Bridges. And that's important because but then of course, the Momentary is opening. And she wants an artist on every team. So the artist will be on every single team. So if you know an artist, recruit them. My mom's available, by the way, she's an artist. Is there a question?
No.
Oh, okay. You were just thinking about artists.
Yeah.
So, in Northwest Arkansas, there's another accelerator that launched recently, Plug and Play.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also into transportation and logistics. So, and they're also being supported by Walton Family.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
So,
So Plug and Play is really an incubator. There's this technical definition of an incubator versus an accelerator. Incubators are places where people go and sit and stay. And normally they don't have any training or mentors or sophisticated programs that systematically could create companies. I do not know the sophistication level of Plug and Plays. You know, they have an accelerator program, but I do know that they're incubators. I know the CEO. So they have the world's largest incubator, actually. So my understanding is that they have a fabulous incubator they're going to be launching, but I just don't know the extent of their accelerator or I don't know the extent of anything else. So we will be planting 20 new companies in their incubator, though. Oh, I hope. Yeah.
Fundamentally, there's a big difference, right?
Big difference.
Companies are coming to Plug and Play Accelerator as a company. Right. And so I'm bringing Wayne's supply chain company there and qualifying through some form of an application process. But here, these inventions are being made available to apply to create the company. And then if you were successful in doing that, then they will help, and others will help fund this process. I think it's two different types of paths, right?
Thank you.
I think one way or the other, it's safe to say there's gonna be a lot of interplay and there's a lot of momentum behind this space.
Absolutely.
And being surrounded by a lot of other people in that arena is gonna really accelerate things for everybody.
Yeah, great. Thank you for mentioning that.
So when are those patents available for review?
They're right now in the Scale Challenge. If you go to scalechallenge.org, you'll see a link at the top. It says inventions. And you can click on that link and it'll give you all the information about the inventions.
So let's say the innovations are so disruptive that, well, I guess I have two-way question. There is an exclusivity with the company and the Walton family or the Walton group, if you will. Is there also a commitment from them that they guarantee they're going to launch them yes or yes, or there may be is there a chance that even though they win and go all the way through, they don't get launched by the?
They're going to be launched. I mean, the Walton family
That's
is
what
just,
she's doing.
that's what I do.
One word.
Yeah. You're going to launch them during the challenge. Okay, so that's part of the challenge process is you're going to launch a company.
But is there like a minimum? You have to be selling, or you have to be the service.
No,
or
oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so actually, sorry, I apologize. I get excited about that. You're just launching a company with an invention. There's no way on God's green earth that you're going to be selling anything by the end of the challenge. I mean, I hope, man, I would be really excited if you were. So,
We just say that just because nobody invests in companies here unless you have revenue or tax.
yeah, isn't it interesting? And in the spaces that I work in, well, of course, right, it's pre-seed. And there's no expectation whatsoever of any revenue at all, because you just got the invention.
But it
It's
is
hard to, it's a different, it's just a fundamentally different model.
You can have a cake.
And it's hard for us to comprehend, but, you know, fundamentally, you're starting with something that already has intellectual property protected and committed, right? So,
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars, and people who have spent their entire lives on these inventions. I mean, that Robonaut, there's a team of like 20 people who have been working on that Robonaut for years. So they're not like, you know, somebody who just thought about them for the last, you know, even couple of years. It's pretty exciting, the electric cars.
Rosemary, just having done this as often as you have, and as many times as you have, what makes for a successful company in this process, and perhaps what the opposite, what has caused them not to be successful?
Okay, great question. So first of all, you gotta have the team. That's the most important thing, the team. And I mean, that's kind of cliche from one perspective, but I mentioned these 30 characteristics. Those 30 characteristics are fundamentally extremely important. So 3 to 5 core team members, 3 to 5 vendors and advisors. The average team size in our challenge is always 10 people. And it's because you have to have all the proper capabilities. Don't shake your head.
No,
It's
it's
okay.
a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of
Sorry, I
work.
didn't mean to.
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, I put myself in those shoes, I was like, wow, right, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. So the team is really important. And the team, you know, there's this, the forming, storming, you know, et cetera. The team is the most important thing. The exact opposite is what's true about failure, is the team. You know, if, that's why we have that fluid intelligence test. Because if you're extremely open and you're very agreeable and you're very compassionate, you're not gonna make it good. And if you have troublemaker scores really low, you're not gonna make a good team leader, believe it or not. So we try to actually mix it up. And you know, I never even thought for a million years that my nickname for my company would be the Tinder for startups. But I have decided that I am kind of a matchmaker. Because what we do is we see the quality, we get data, and we're very analytical. We're like, oh, that team and that team are not going to survive together, they're going to do a lot better. So then we start the matchmaking process. You don't really know that about what we're doing, but that's really what we're doing. Kind of seems. Now you know. Huh?
It's like reality TV people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's actually reality.
Okay, please don't laugh about this question. So you just said that there's no expectation that these companies earn revenue during this process. And around here, investors get their panties in a twist if you attempt to pay your team out of their funds. So this is all volunteer work?
Oh yeah, it's all done, yeah. I mean,
Just to be clear,
yeah, it's all been volunteer work, yeah.
But you're getting all the training, the inspiration.
You get the invention that we spent my lifetime working on.
so you get equity.
What? We don't get any equity.
You
You get all the equity. You all
the team
get
gets
all
the
the
equity.
equity.
Okay.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, think about that. 100%, well, 99% equity. And the Robonaut or the electric car. The electric car is very cool, by the way.
So your investors are not taking a chance?
Oh, well, that's different. The investors will. That's a negotiation.
Of course, okay.
They're basically just,
They're the inventors, right?
they're
The
crowdsourcing.
investors don't get equity.
They're just crowdsourcing innovation. They have all these things they need solutions for, so it's sort of Walmart.
The investors only get equity if you give it to us. Sorry, I apologize.
But how are they getting compensated for their invention?
That they're getting paid. They got paid by the university to build it, or that are allowed to build it.
Okay.
And right now, if it's sitting on the shelf, they're earning zero off it, so they want it to succeed. And
Yes.
But we negotiated tech transfer license, correct?
Yes. Yes. We've already done a lot of that work. We've already done exhaustive amount of work in the
So that's in place
negotiations.
for the team, once they.
For the most
adopt it.
part, which then you have to go back. We can't do the license, so we have pre-negotiated the license agreement. You have to close the loop, and then of course we get involved if there's any problems.
So your teams typically spend 60 hours a week working on these projects?
Yeah. Across the team. So that's why we want a team of 3 to 5 people. So one of our teams was in 3 continents: New Zealand, the UK, and California. And they just like kept passing it off overnight. And they won. I mean, they were awesome. But so you don't have to restrict yourself by barriers at all in the challenge. Sorry, there's a.
If you submitted your own idea that's not on the list, is it less likely to get picked compared to joining something that's already?
Do both. Do both. That way you can have the most likelihood of winning. I mean, our challenge is so different because you have pretty much a 20% chance of winning if you pick one of our inventions. And if you do the work. By the business plan phase, there's a maximum of 5 people per team. So 20% chance. I mean, that's incredibly great because most challenges aren't that way. It's like you 1 in 50 chance.
I was just very curious. Earlier in the presentation, you said that of 300, there were 3
Unicorns!
I'm very curious.
I would like a dragon. You guys, somebody in here has to become a dragon. I need a dragon. I don't have a dragon yet. I need one.
Like what
So-
they were about.
What were they about?
Yeah,
Those were 3 life sciences ones. They were all oncology. Oncology. They're all oncology. Yeah. But my gosh, our space race challenge startups are they're gazelles. We got the gazelles, we got the unicorns, now we need a dragon.
We're ready to
Yes, yes, yes.
Based on the time people involved in this, do you encourage a job where they take a challenge?
Do I encourage a job?
A full-time job where
Oh yeah, we have that all the time. So someone who has a full-time job, they do that all the time. Yeah. I mean, they come into our town all the time. They're like, oh God, at the end of the day, you decide whether or not you want the people we introduce you to. But we are very careful about introductions. You know, actually, there was a study done recently. It's very funny about matchmakers. Do you know matchmakers make a lot of money? So the matchmaking, I just learned this. The Wall Street Journal article last week. They make anywhere from $5,000 for, like introduction to $150,000 to $250,000 for introductions. I think we should start charging fees for these introductions. After this, that's my next thing. That's like my next thing. Okay. Any other questions? Right now? Do you care to hear about our past performance? Okay. Okay, so we're in our 9th challenge. I mentioned that we started our whole journey with the Breast Cancer Startup Challenge as a necessity. We had done an assessment of about 7,000 inventions, and we had all these awesome breast cancer technology inventions. And the big problem we had was that we found 50 great breast cancer inventions, and no corporation wanted them because they already wanted to treat women chronically for breast cancer. And then when it didn't work anymore, like the efficacy goes down, they just add more drugs. So now they can add more drugs. And so anyway, I was disrupting their ability to sell more of their stuff. And then they said, well, we have other stuff in the pipeline, we can't disrupt that. So I was like, on my way home, on a train ride from New York, drinking Bloody Marys, because like I had to present to this board of directors in New York and tell them, well, we have all these great inventions, but none of the companies want them. And by the way, the funding has gone down by 10x. So I said, well, I have to find a way to create companies from thin air. And that's how I came up with this idea. And And so that was the Breast Cancer Startup Challenge. I was like, we have to have people compete for the inventions. And so we launched 11 companies, and 7 of those companies are still alive. One of those companies is one of our unicorns. And then NIH, because we got all these big awards from Health and Human Services, which is the largest biomedical organization in the world. We got the Secretary of Innovation Award, which is like the top award they give out, and we usually give the scientists, so it's like really weird to give it to like this kind of thing. But they're like, okay, well now do it all across NIH, all of HHS actually. So and do it across disease area. So Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, ADHD, PTSD, you know, I mean everything. So we then did the challenge across all disease areas in neuroscience across all of the HHS, including CDC and FDA. Launched 22 companies. This was 500 people, by the way, and that was the largest challenge in the world. We blew the covers off of Rice University Challenge. This was 1,000 people, and then we expanded. NASA, more companies. Freedom from Cancer Startup Challenge was last year. It was almost like launching 100 babies or having 100 babies. It was 100 companies. And then our second place-based challenge, so this is the first place-based challenge, but it was not called a place-based challenge. It was, we launched companies all around the world, but 12 of them were in El Paso, Texas. And then all 20 of these companies were in Virginia Beach. And so we have 2 challenges we launched. The Scale Challenge, right now we have going on, and the Brain Race. And the Brain Race is all about improving outcomes for people with brain tumors. So we're in the 8th challenge. So I really could bore you all day long about talking about stories about kids, like startups. But Petra Power, they just wrote me an email, texted me yesterday about another amount of money that they just raised. This is about a fuel cell, very disruptive fuel cell. The kite is really cool. So we all know windmills. So what if you could replace a windmill with 1/10 of the cost and 100x the production of energy, and you could take that energy producing device anywhere, like places like disaster relief sites. There's a machine computer motherboard that, and lots of sensors, about 70 so sensors, that are determining the positioning that should be of this material in the air. And all these guide wires that are optimizing the position of the kite based on where the wind is, where they can, I mean, isn't that amazing? We launched 3 companies off this one invention, 3 companies, and they all got, you were asking exclusive. So we do carve-outs for exclusive rights for inventions if there's more than one company around it. Cambridge Cancer Genomics just raised a whole bunch of money. I can't tell you how much, but it was a lot. And that was not Freenome. Freenome just launched just closed 156 million last week. You already know about we have 9 White House awards. We are partnered with BIO, which is the world's largest life sciences organization, called the Shark Tank on Steroids. But like Nature magazine, how many people here know Nature? Okay, so it's like it's the highest profile magazine that exists in life sciences. Well, by the way, I'm not a scientist, but I have PhDs who work for me, and they're like, Rosemarie, did you know they're released their whole life and they haven't published in Nature? Like, and so it's normally full of all kinds of science stuff, right? And then an article, we got two exclusives, and I can even just imagine the scientists going through this magazine, Tinder for startups. What is going on there? And then of course Wired calls the Kickstarter for IP. That was based on a Kauffman Foundation work that we did. Other side, that we got this award from Challenge.gov, which is and that's the Government Accountability Office. When Government Accountability Office starts sniffing around, the federal laboratories get really nervous. Really nervous, because they're the watchdog for all the federal agencies. So then they start talking to us, like NIH and us, and over and over and over again, they're like, so what are you doing? And then give me more detail, like, oh my gosh, my NIH thought, they were so worried. What did we do wrong, right? So they gave us a award, and they wrote some of the big white paper and everything, but it was very nerve-wracking at the time, because I got, every week I was like, more data. But, and by the way, they had these impact awards. So one was the top 100 things that happened in impact, we were number 36. And the other one was the top 10 things that happened in entrepreneurship, and we were number 6. Just a complete surprise to me, but I was very, very happy. And I didn't send the money either. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. And so if you have any additional questions, or I'm happy to take them now, or we chat later too.
Well, can you pop up the inventions?
Yeah. I hope.
When can we receive this resolution?
I'll take the collection at the door on the way out, and I'll make a decision. I'll work with Rosemarie today too. Make sure you're on that sign-in sheet, we'll make sure to get it to you.
Early investments.
So if you're an existing company and you're working in this field, you have an opportunity to jump in on this. I think that's really good. So it's just for people who are just interested in your existing company. There's a lot.
Yes.
Well, I also think too, David, that to add to your comment is that if you're an individual, you can also put your hand up and become part of the team. So that's, you have a particular skill. Kind of know something about supply chain, like friend Joshua, that might be
adventure was freaking awesome. Well, they're all awesome. This one can track diamonds, a little tiny thing, but diamonds. This is an isotope one that I mentioned to you, the Delos. Yeah, these are, every single thing on this entire list, I could tell you a story about, and who loves it.
So would you suggest like finding something you're passionate about, applying through that, or like trying to find a team that's passionate about something together more or less?
It's a chicken and the egg.
Yeah.
But I think if you're gonna be a team leader, you gotta find something you like.
Yeah. What if you know you should be a team leader? You're like, oh, I need the experience of this project, apply some value add. But what would you suggest that person be?
Just let us know you want a team leader and you wanna be part of some of the convention, and we'll hook you up.
Okay.
On a different team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because our teams are augmenting right now. They're getting formed, you know what I mean? So like people came in, some people came in with 3 people, some people came in with 1 person. And we, you know, since I get to make the roles, I just love it.
And the training that the teams would go through is based on needs-based, you know, everything that they go through.
Highly tailored.
Yes, it's very tailored, and so if you have some weaknesses,
Yeah.
they'll get you out.
Yeah, highly tailored. So first of all, it's tailored by the kind of invention, and so there's tracks. Some of them are common for like foundational for everybody, but then some are like food supply chain and fashion supply chain are different. So you have to have different kinds of training with that. And then let's say we see that you are going after this application, you did not anticipate that application coming into our account. Then we do special training on that. And I personally will just do a class with somebody because I see that they need help with something. Or business plan innovation. Sometimes there's really important dimensions that need to be thought through on business plan innovation or business model innovation.
At what point are the ideas published online or published?
They're right there.
I mean like the ones that will pick, like the companies that will, the winning team, like at what point does the ideas
end?
get published?
Oh,
So
do
like
you mean-
in April?
What, do you mean the startups
Yeah.
that are formed?
Yeah.
The startups that are formed, well, it depends on really when they're formed. I mean, we pick the winners probably February of next year.
And that's when it will be published.
Yeah. Thank you.
Daniel told me his password.
Got a chance to ask Daniel about that very, very short password.
Starts with a 1, ends with a 4, how's that? He changed it for my benefit today, so in case that happened. I told him to get to 5 digits on loss. Well, I think this has been fantastic. And we're really grateful for you. Rosemary didn't mention is we successfully get a pair of shoes like that.
Oh, yeah.
Those are pretty
That's
fancy
funny.
shoes. I can see you in those, Josh. You'd be gorgeous.
I already have a pair like that.
Oh, well.
Oh, damn.
You still have 2 years, Chris. That's it. Well, thank you all for coming and spending time with us, Rosemary. We can hang out for a little bit. There's still some more food and stuff, so if you want to talk to Rosemary personally for a little bit or just hang out for a little bit, you're welcome to this.
And then, by the way, I have a very important, so you know, if you look at my logo, right, they're birds. And then birds are going out. And this was a bird that I didn't win, it was a consolation prize, long story. But, it's an owl, it was. So, if you would like to come up with an idea for the name of this owl, I would appreciate it. This is gonna be an owl that travels with me to all the places that I go. Because it was very kind enough to give me an owl, even though I didn't win it.
Who said that?
This ain't working, I know.